Today we're going to tie Mud Buddy. It's a smaller crawdad pattern that we've been working with for a while now. It's tied on a size 4 Mustad 3906 hook. It's a much smaller hook than most of your crawdads are tied on. It's not a real long hook. It's better suited for carp, panfish, crappie, even trout. I think it'd be a great pattern down at Bennett sometimes. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to take some black thread and just lay it in right behind the eye of the hook. Give it about 15 wraps here. 15, 20, something to that effect. Pop your thread off. Then we're going to take a 5/32, see if I can get that thread off me, dumbbell eye, brass dumbbell eye. We're going to put it in right there where we stopped our thread. I'm going to go back a little bit forward. We want this pretty close to the eye. It will run hook point up clouser style, but we want it real nice and close to that eye. Just like that. Give it about, give it about 3 or 4 turns. Go the other way, another 3 or 4 turns, something just so you get it nice and straight and squared up, like that. And then go around the base of it 4 or 5 times, fairly tight. Go right behind it. And then normally what I'll do is actually at this point, I'll go ahead and take this fly and I'll whip this off, just like that, behind those eyes, and remove my thread. And then take a little bit of super glue, Zap-A-Gap, whatever. This was the cheap stuff at the Walmart. And I'll give it a good drop of super glue right there to lock that there so it'll never move again. Then I'll drop that out of my vise. And I'll do a whole bunch of those at one time. I've already got one here handy, already glued up and ready to go. So we'll just jump in and get started on this one. Go ahead and run our, once we've got that all done, we'll run our thread back all the way to the bend, and we're actually going to go a little bit beyond the bend on this one. Somewhere right in there looks good. We're going to take 2 strands of some Flashabou. This is just kind of a steel gray pearl color I've got. You're going to use it for antennas, so it doesn't really matter what color it is. It can be just plain pearl. We're going to lay the whole strands going back across the hook, right on top of the shank. They're not cooperating here. Put them right there. We'll lash that down 2 or 3 turns. Then we'll take the excess here and we'll actually pull it back again on top of the hook shank and lash it down. Take our scissors and we'll pop them all off somewhere about that long. Nothing real scientific here, just about yay long, about yay much. I don't get too much into the particulars on this kind of stuff. So there's our antennas tied in. We're going to take a little bit of this dubbing. I'm using some Sow Scud. It's a dead orange color. It's real close to the color I normally use for an orange colored crawdad, which seems to be a really, really good color for carp for me. Take a tiny little bit here, just a teeny tiny little bit of dubbing. Rub that onto our hook, or onto our thread. And we're going to build a ball for our claws to go around. Get a nice little, there you go, beautiful little ball laid in there. Now we're going to take a piece of a pine squirrel zonker strip and we're going to cut 2 little claw length pieces. And if you look, they're just about the length of the hook shank-ish, maybe a little shorter. That's a good length there. Give it a little bit of movement out there to those claws. And we're going to lay them in on either side of the hook shank, right behind that ball of dubbing there. Just like that. Give it a couple turns just to hold it in place. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll try and do this so y'all can see it. Put my finger in the way. How's that? I'm going to have to. There you go. Something like that. I'll slide it up a little bit. There you go. Just like that. Slide it back around where it belongs. Tighten it up. And then we're just going to smooth that all out. Build up all this bulk. We're not worried about bulk here because we are tying a crawdad pattern, so bulk is not really that important. So there's a little bit of bulk there. Now we'll take a little piece of a hackle, little hen saddle like this. This is kind of an orange-brown color. We'll take this and I'll strip off this side and leave just this side, so my feather looks like that when I'm all done. I'll tie this in by the tip right here. Go ahead and tie it back down till I'm right there by where I tied my claws in. Got a couple of pieces that jumped there on me. Nip them out. Then we're going to go back to dubbing. A little bit more of this orange dubbing here. We're going to build the thorax area of this. You need a little bit of bulk here, but not too much. Still keep your dubbing a little sparse on the thread, but you can build some bulk now. Spin it on nice and tight. Wrap her down there. Gonna need just a touch more. There we go. That's starting to look good now. That's good right there. And normally what I do is I stop that thorax right about even with the hook point, because I think that just looks real nice to me. Okay? And then we're going to take this hen saddle and we're going to palmer. We're going to try and palmer up everything we got on this hen saddle. This one's nice and long. I like them to be pretty long. It gives you a lot of those real short looking little legs there at the beginning of the fly right behind the claws. I think they look real nice that way. So we just palmer all this little saddle we can get onto the shank. And I left a little bit of the bottom of the plume on there, tiny touch of that marabou, give it just a tiny little bit of life in still water. Tie this little piece down there, pop it out of the way, pull these guys forward just a hair, and I wrap up onto them a tiny little bit like that. And go ahead and drop that.